Welcome to the second live with Gresham Mayor Facebook opportunity to talk with both the mayor and again hear from our incredible city manager, Nina Vetter.
Thank you. We're very excited to be here for another round, here to answer some questions and hot topics.
And as we highlighted, and we'll highlight throughout this process, an opportunity to ask us questions and us to give you great information. A lot of what the city team does is behind the scenes. And so it's not always that you get the opportunity to hear what they're doing and sometimes see what they're doing. Now, we just had the weather event, and you probably saw some of our great folks out there clearing their roads, applying certain chemicals to the roads to allow us and ourselves and you to move across our great city. And so we really want to take this opportunity to bring some of that to the forefront, highlight some of the incredible work that's being done by a bunch of our incredible folks. And then also, we want to listen to you. We want to give you updates of things that are going on. We want to make sure you are hearing answers to the questions that you may have, and hopefully getting this information out so that you can share with others who may have similar questions, thoughts, or ideas. And so, again, we're going to be doing this on a monthly basis. We're going to have different folks joining me on a monthly basis. Again, this time we've got our city manager, Nina Vetter, again. And next month, we've got our deputy city manager, Corey Falls. So please join us next month as we have that individual joining us and getting additional information. Now, first and foremost, I want to address a question that came to us, and it is, why are we still wearing the mask? And sadly enough, we have seen some of the highest COVID cases that Oregon has seen throughout this entire pandemic over the last few days. We're also seeing additional deaths, and that's the sad thing. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control, has absolutely informed all of us that wearing masks is a critical defense to what's going on with this microscopic foe that we call COVID. And so we implore people to continue. I know it's exhausting. I know we're tired of wearing the mask, but it's important that we do all that we can to stem the flow of the exchange of this COVID-19 situation. And with Omicron, we all know that it's a highly contagious variant of COVID-19, and we have to stay the course. If you haven't been vaccinated, I would absolutely implore you to consider vaccination. Boosters, I've got the vaccination and I've got the boosters on board. So hopefully we can all get access to that incredible defense mechanism that we have against COVID. But these masks are and will continue to be important. Anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah, I really just want to highlight how important it is that we continue to follow the recommended protocols, not just from the CDC, but also from our state and our county. So we make sure here at the city that we're following all of the protocols and really trying to keep everyone safe and healthy at the end of the day.
Excellent. I can't agree more. So with that, let's jump into some of the other questions and comments that folks have asked. One of the key things that's getting ready to launch in full force is Imagine Gresham. Nina, what really is Imagine Gresham?
Imagine Gresham is imagining Gresham. Haha, that was my attempt at humor. But Imagine Gresham is our initiative to build a future of what Gresham can look like together with the community, with our employees, and also develop a long-term financial plan that can support that awesome future that we're all visioning. So it is a process, like you said, just kicked off. We're very excited about it. You can go to our website, greshamoregon.gov. On our homepage, you will find Imagine Gresham. And right now, there are opportunities for everybody to provide feedback. We ask questions like, what do you love about Gresham today that you want to keep? What do you want to see more of in Gresham in the future? All of this information will really help us develop our strategic plan and our future that ultimately will be adopted by our city council. So I encourage you to check out the website to provide some virtual feedback. You'll also find upcoming events where we're going to hear a little bit more from our community members about exactly what they love about Gresham, dig into a little bit more about, particularly you say you want more safety in Gresham. What does that look like to you? What does safety mean to you? So getting a little bit more of that context to make sure that we're really capturing what people really want to see in Gresham. So please, again, visit the website, participate today. There will be multiple opportunities in the future for people to stay engaged, and we absolutely will report back as well. So after we do some of this community engagement, we'll be able to share, here's the themes we're hearing, right? Here's the priorities that we're hearing for our community, and then develop that financial plan that's so crucial, because we can't achieve all these great goals and this great vision if we don't have the resources. So both of those will come together this summer so that we can move forward with an adopted vision and an adopted financial plan, really so we can implement that vision and that future that our community desires.
Wow, that is a lot going on. And we have the opportunity to think aspirationally about what our city can be. And that's something that gets pretty exciting for me. And some of the comments that we sometimes hear is, why does it matter to me? Other comments of, does it really matter that I contribute to this conversation? I mean, are we really going to listen to our community members? And I want to let the folks know that we absolutely are very interested in hearing what they say, because this needs to be a community-based process. We need to hear exactly what the community wants and desires from their community. What investments do we need to be making? How do we ensure that we're moving our community in the right direction? How do we make sure that we're giving people opportunities and we can mature as a community into something that people want to appreciate, that people really want to be a part of? And that starts with something very foundational, and that's public safety. And we continue to get a number of questions these days about public safety, and rightly so, as we see across the entire country, gun violence is up. That's sad. We're seeing theft up. We're seeing challenges all across the country in all of our cities here in the U.S. with public safety. And so the concerns that our community members have are valid, and how they want to hear how we're going to address some of the challenges that we're seeing. One of the questions that we sometimes are getting lately, because there have been some changes, is why did we pull individuals away from the NET team? Why did we pull people away from transit? And some folks believe that was a financial decision based on city leadership or based on the council, but that wasn't so. What really led to us pulling back? And when I say us, and this is inclusive of our folks in blue, our police department, this is inclusive of them in that conversation. So what was the reasoning behind pulling back some of those dedicated folks to those specific types of special teams?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was not because of finances or because of budget. What we are facing, like many other departments, is a shortage of staff in our police department. And so we can only do so much with the staff that we have. And so you're right, our chief worked very closely together with the people in our police department, with our command staff, to try to identify if we truly need to prioritize our services, which we did, because of the short staffing that we're currently experiencing. What can we do temporarily right now to help us and to free up resources to address the issues that are most pressing, like crime, violence, investigations? We want to make sure we have enough patrol to respond to people when they are in need, right? So what can we do right now to solve that? And the solution, again, a temporary solution due to our current shortage of staffing, is to redeploy the resources that we had dedicated to the NET team into transit. I also think it's important to note that the NET team, so Neighborhood Enforcement Team, is an arm of the police department that assists with those who are experiencing homelessness. While the people who are working in that have been redeployed, we have not lost all of our homeless services department. We still have a separate department in the city that really are outreach workers. They're out there every day making contact with people who are experiencing homelessness to make sure that we are giving them the resources that they need. So I want to assure everyone that there still is a team at the city who is working with those who are experiencing homelessness in our community. And our hopes and our goal is that this is a temporary solution while we aim to increase the staffing in our police department.
So as we think about what's led to this, part of this challenge has been what other cities and municipalities are seeing is a lack of just folks that we can bring into the department. And so when we think about the finance side of things, back in 2020, the council late in 2020 actually approved an addition to the current PFP. So the previous PFP, police, fire, and parks fee, was $7.50 per door. Now it's up to $15. That included roughly another $3.9 million. 3.9 committed specifically to police, fire, and parks, with the majority of that going to police and fire. So 2021, the 2021-2022 budget saw some of the highest police funding Gresham has ever had and ever dedicated, correct?
Yeah.
Furthermore, the council in the latter part of 2021 actually, from the American Rescue Plan, just committed another 1.6 million to police. Another 1.6. So this is the most funding that our police department has ever had in Gresham's history. So that's something that I think we've heard a lot of, is that, and heard loud and clear. Folks have been concerned of some concept of defunding, and from it's actually the exact opposite. As opposed to a couple years back, there's an additional almost 5.7 million. If I'm doing my numbers correctly, about 5.7 million additional dollars available to the things that we just referenced, police, fire, and parks, and specifically the bulk of that is going to police. And so what we're seeing really is some of the challenges that our other municipalities are seeing. The inability to just get the folks in and get them going. Many times it takes time to get folks through the police academy and get them trained and out, making sure they can keep our community safe. So there is a tremendous commitment to our folks to ensure that public safety is first and foremost. And to that end, I mean, we, even as a city, we're having conversations now about employer of choice. What does it look like for our city? And when we think about Imagine Gresham, part of that Imagine Gresham conversation is, how do we make sure that as a city team, we're an employer of choice? What are the things that we need to be doing? What are the things we need to be considering? And this doesn't just stop with our police force, although this is the topic that we're talking about right now. And we did a national search, and we are just incredibly lucky to have Chief Travis Goldberg, a long-time community member here in Gresham, as our new chief. And so he is giving us a tremendous opportunity to really put into place the pieces that are going to, again, allow us to be a employer of choice. But it doesn't stop just in police. We need to be doing this in our fire. We need to be doing this across the entire staff. And that's going to, again, require that Imagine Gresham conversation to be something that expands across all the community investments that we need to be making. And so as we talk about community investments, one of the key areas that I think is critical that we want to touch base on is urban renewal. And folks are asking about urban renewal. We spent quite a bit of time in our last Facebook Live between the two of us talking about police. We know it's very important, so we wanted to actually bring back those conversations. We also talked a lot about urban renewal, so we're not going to spend a ton of time this time, again, rehashing the urban renewal conversation, but we will touch on some key points. Urban renewal, just kind of in its infancy, is about really taking a community, or part of our community that's struggled with redevelopment and development, and focusing attention on that through this urban renewal type of mechanism. So we have specific dollars allowed to be invested in that portion of our community, and that's Rockwood. And so we're making investments into the Rockwood community, and those have been tremendously beneficial. And we've seen that downtown Rockwood, beautiful facilities, coming out of the ground there. We've seen other facilities coming up, and so it really is a benefit to our community. We're talking about extending that right now. What does that mean? What does it mean to extend that urban renewal section of our city?
Yeah, so our urban renewal district, if nothing is done, would expire, which means that there wouldn't be further investments made in the Rockwood neighborhood through urban renewal anymore if it does expire. Now, what this means in terms of dollars and impact is essentially we'd be leaving $34 million on the table worth of investments that we could be making in the Rockwood neighborhood in the form of transportation improvements, transit improvements, plaza, public spaces improvements, all those great things that urban renewal dollars do. Again, we'd really be leaving money on the table that just hasn't been spent yet because the district would expire. So what we will be asking for is for an extension of the urban renewal district that will allow us to put that investment in Rockwood. It also will stimulate further private investment as well. So like you mentioned, we've had a lot of great things happen in the Rockwood area. It's come to over $190 million worth of private investment in our new urban renewal district because that exists. So the extension again will allow us to use those dollars that we have to see even further investment in that area and stimulate more private investment as well.
And $190 million of private investment is tremendous. And a lot of that was spurred by the urban renewal. And some folks, they ask the question, hey, is urban renewal going to increase my taxes? And that's a key question that we have. Or is urban renewal taking money away from the city? Just briefly, the answer to that is no. And we're not going to go into the deep portions of what urban renewal means because it gets complicated pretty quickly. But essentially, what happens is that taxes roughly stay the same, but there's a portion of that tax base based on the increased value of the properties within the urban renewal area that gets refocused on the urban renewal area. So without that investment, we're not for that investment. The value would still be relatively low, actually substantially lower than what it is. And so because of that investment that has been made, the increased value, that section of our community benefits from that, and we focus those dollars right there, and we're seeing the benefits of that right now. And some of the improvements, as we mentioned last time, down at Sandy Boulevard and 181st, the improvements there, and I'm sure folks who transit that area often appreciate those improvements all the way up through downtown Rockwood. So we can absolutely see those improvements happen, and that does lead to also public safety improvements, lighting, those types of things, crosswalks, all of those things help our community be safe from a public safety standpoint, from a traffic and pedestrian standpoint. All of those things are important to ensure that we're moving towards a very safe community. And so the urban renewal is an important mechanism we have, as you just mentioned, Nina. It's really about an extension. At this point, we're not expanding it. The expansion could potentially be something that we talk about down the road. But really, this is about extending it so that we have the opportunity to utilize the full opportunity that exists there with the current structure of our urban renewal structure. And then we've seen the benefits. If you haven't been downtown Rockwood, folks, please travel down to downtown Rockwood. Some of those buildings have already opened. Additional buildings are going to be opened, and businesses are going to be opening soon. So we look forward to that opportunity to see what happens and continues to happen in our great area of town called Rockwood. And I just mentioned the idea of safety and public safety. And there's a concept that we have now called Safe Gresham. Help us understand, what is Safe Gresham?
Yeah, Safe Gresham is our new initiative in which we are focusing on all aspects of community safety, right? And so safety starts with prevention, involves intervention, and at the end works on collaboration. So law enforcement is obviously a piece of public safety, but we recognize that law enforcement alone is not going to solve all of our community safety issues. So it's really important to us to have this initiative called Safe Gresham available on our website, greshamoregon.gov. You could read all about it, which really does cover the full scope of how we can address crime and safety in Gresham. So again, focusing on the prevention part, we're really fortunate our City Council has supported our East County Youth Prevention Program. And we are excited about getting that rolling. That is a large part of what prevention looks like, and ensuring that we are connecting the youth with resources, ensuring that we're really setting them up for success in their lives. That is such a big piece of the puzzle. Intervention has more to do with law enforcement. It's a strategic use of resources. It's ensuring that we're properly staffing, not just patrol, but also staffing in terms of crime analysts, data analysts, all of that work. And then collaboration is all the work that our team does to work with our regional partners, because as you know, crime and safety is not just a localized issue. We're seeing it in Gresham, of course we're seeing it around our region too. So it's really important that we all work together. So that's a brief overview of the big scope of what Safe Gresham looks like. It's a multi-year project, it's multifaceted, and again, I encourage you to check out the website to learn a little bit more about everything that Safe Gresham encompasses.
So it sounds like, with everything, that we've got a short, medium, and long-term type of approach that we need to have. Short term, we've got some intervention work that has to be done, and that's where we lean on the incredible efforts of our law enforcement. And we've seen some things over the last few weeks that we just truly, truly appreciate our folks in law enforcement here in Gresham. Appreciate everything that you do. You put yourselves in the line of fire, literally, all the time, and we appreciate and so are very thankful for that effort. And so that intervention really includes that law enforcement component, investigation, all of that stuff to help us with that component of it. So that's going to always be the short term, and we got challenges that we need to address. That medium term is kind of that intervention, and we start to move towards prevention. And so that's where we're combining law enforcement with opportunity and engagement. And that our youth program is something that begins to look at engagement and opportunity for the long term, because that's really what we want to start doing. We want to start giving these youth opportunity, which then really keeps them out of situations where they're seeing negative outcomes and opportunities there that are positive. And and that brings me to myself. I tell people all the time. They say I grew up in the inner city of Kansas City, Kansas, and sadly, per capita, one of the most violent cities in America. Sadly enough, and I grew up right in the heart of that. And I can tell you, the only reason that I was able to get out of that type of environment eventually was through recreational engagement opportunities, was other opportunities to be engaged, to be connected with programs that really gave me structure. Without that, I'm pretty certain I would not be where I am today, if even still, sadly enough, alive. And so the components, when we start to think about truly the benefits, the short to medium to long-term benefits that we receive as a community by making these important investments, is critical. I mean, because if we're not breaking the cycle. And the cycle is what needs to be disrupted and interrupted so that these youth have opportunity in the long term and be engaged. And so this concept of Safe Gresham isn't a single note is what we're talking about. It's really comprehensive and really leveraging every component of our platform and our opportunity, starting with our incredible folks in law enforcement and moving all the way through. Now, I do want to say that when we talk about law enforcement, we know we have needs there. But we don't want to forget our folks in our fire department, another first responder that we also are working hard to build the long-term financial solution so that we can rightly resource all of these. And furthermore, again, we've got our general staff, our efforts that support many other parts of our city. We need to make sure that that's correctly funded also. We have to be making these investments across the board. If we're going to become an employer of choice, which I believe is a foundation for a well-run city, we've got to start investing in the way we want these outcomes to be, and that starts with Imagining Gresham, folks. This is real. This is something we really want your input and insight on, because we need your input. We need your engagement in this concept of Imagining Gresham. Last thing that came through in regards to some initial questions and comments were utilities. And we mentioned earlier the police, fire, and parks fee. I mentioned that police, fire, and parks fee, the extension of the additional amount happened, and that's going to go from 2022 to 2023. And that's again, that is a $3.9 million addition that was in place this fiscal year and the next fiscal year to support our police, fire, and parks, with the majority of that going to police and fire by far. So that's that situation. And again, we've got to invest to ensure that we've got the right funding in place to fully resource our city. But there are questions about utility assistance. And during this time of COVID, we know people are struggling still. What types of programs do we have in regards to utility assistance in the city?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a specific utility assistance program connected with the police, fire, and parks fee that you just mentioned. And we also have other assistance programs through our other funding through our housing department. So what I will say again is go to our website, greshamoregon.gov. You can find a lot of information about what utility assistance programs we have available. We also right now are examining our current utility assistance program to make sure that there aren't any barriers to participating in that program, to make sure that it's accessible to everyone who needs it. We really want to make sure that those dollars go to the people who really need that assistance. So there is a survey available online as well. So if you're interested in that program, if you've participated in it, or if you just have some input on how we could better design the program or make it more accessible, reduce barriers, we'd really love to hear that. So please fill out the survey if that applies to you. And again, encourage you to check out the website to learn more about this program that we do have, because we really want to make sure that for those who would have trouble paying this, that we do have all the options available to them.
Excellent. So we just want to make it clear, folks, that we do have programs. We will be doing some additional work to ensure that you've got access to these utility assistance programs, because it's important that we assist you and help you out through these times, through these challenging times and ongoing. So we're dedicating time, effort, and dollars to ensure that you can make it through these tough times and offset some of these financial burdens that are on our great community members. With that, I just want to make sure we check with our team here to see if we've got any questions that I know have been probably piling up from you folks watching the Facebook Live.
Well, we don't have questions per se. We have a lot of comments all going towards more money being needed to fund real public safety and specifically programs for teens, free sports programming for youth in K through 12, and investing in our parks. So not necessarily questions, but comments supporting funding towards those other areas.
Excellent. That brings me chills just to hear those comments, because ultimately what you have just been putting in the comments are the things that we're talking about right here. That additional funding so that we can absolutely support get the right resources to our folks to keep our community safe. I will say, folks, that that we have come to our community twice historically with public safety levies, and they both failed. And so we have to start investing in our community in the right way to make sure that we get the outcomes that you're talking about, because many of the things you just referenced are many of the things we're talking about here. And Imagine Gresham, Safe Gresham, making sure that we've got all the pieces in place to accomplish everything you're talking about here. So we appreciate that. Looks like we do have a question.
Not another question, but another comment.
Another
Kevin
comment.
Wants to let you know that you're both doing great and he's proud of you.
Oh, thank
you,
you,
Kevin. Greatly appreciated.
We'll take it.
We want to make you proud, and we want to make sure that we're doing
There is
the great work.
actually one more question.
One more question before we head out.
With all the officers leaving, are there plans to better compensate officers to keep them from leaving?
Great question. Actually, that was a comment that we had previous in the comments that I actually missed bringing up. So that's a great question, because ultimately when we talk about potentially becoming an employer of choice, that starts with adequate compensation plans, but that also starts with what, Nina? Funding. So that starts with funding. So we have to have the proper funding to be able to put together the right comp packages. But you've got a city leadership and a council that's fully supportive of ensuring we've got those right pieces in place so that we can retain and recruit the best of the best. And so that's something that we haven't had the opportunity to do because of the funding challenges. And again, partly because we've had those two historical levies fail. We're looking to our community to really believe in our community and to really start supporting through great investments in this community. So the answer is yes. And as we just referenced, we have more money dedicated to our police department than we've had in the history of Gresham's existence. So we're investing now. We're going to invest more as we go along, but we really need to be able to not to convince, but to work with you as community members to get the right package in place through Imagine Gresham, through Safe Gresham, to make sure we're making the right investments. So I can't say it enough, folks. We greatly appreciate your time and attention. We know that you have tons of things to do throughout your day. We thank you for dedicating at least a portion of your day with us to listen to some of the great things that are going on and some of the challenges that we're experiencing, but knowing and believing that a better, brighter future is ahead of us. And so I can't thank you enough for the time and attention you've taken today. And again, please keep giving us those comments, those thoughts, those questions. We'll be doing this monthly. As I've already referenced, next month we'll have Deputy City Manager Corey Falls, who will be joining me to talk further, mostly, I'm sure, about police and fires, public safety. Those are some of his departments that he is clearly in charge of. And so join us next month, please. And don't hesitate to send us the questions, send us the comments to make sure that we're well aware. Also, I do want to say that I believe Imagine Gresham, I believe we have an event coming up
Next week.
January 19th.
Correct.
January 19th. Check out the website, get the specifics on that. Join us in that initial kickoff. We want to make sure that we're listening and we're hearing what you're saying, because you've already gave us some great comments today, which I really look forward to being able to implement some of those cool things. Before we go, I want to make sure I give Nina an opportunity to also say a couple final words.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today, as always. I always encourage people to go to our website and follow the city on social media to get updates on what's happening in the city, what's happening with safety, what events are coming up that you can participate in. There are so many initiatives right now that we're seeking community feedback on. So please follow us on social and check out the website.
Excellent. Thank you, Nina, for your time. Greatly appreciate it. And we would be remiss if we didn't recognize Sarah Kagan in our communications department. Sarah, I just said, but Robin Frazen Parker. They do amazing work. They're always behind the camera doing some amazing things to make us look good. So we greatly appreciate everything that they do. We look forward to seeing you next month.